Welcome to Thieves' Cant, a tabletop gaming podcast with your hosts, Jeremy Shane and Chris White.
Welcome in and welcome back. It is Thursday, February 12th, Thieves' Cant. I'm Jeremy Shane.
And I'm Chris White.
And the week of love continues.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Never get tired of that. Thanks for listening and subscribing at thievescantcast. You can email thievescantcast@gmail.com. In today's episode, we are discussing romance in games, something that might make you very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe you, no pun intended, love it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, I'll admit pun was absolutely.
That pun was really intended.
Very intended.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. All right, so romance in games, there's a number of directions that we can take this. So where to start? Well, I mean, have you ever been in a game that prominently featured a love connection in some form?
Not recently. Of course, we play with our wives. I don't know.
There's no romance in those games.
Nobody's moved in that direction.
We've never felt compelled to explore it.
No.
I think we need to acknowledge that sometimes system of choice plays a role here.
Yeah.
I think I'm no Powered by the Apocalypse expert by any stretch.
Mm-hmm.
No real experience with any of those games. But I know that some Powered by the Apocalypse games, I mean, you've got mechanics baked in that deal with interaction between characters, some
mm-hmm.
of which is going to be romantic in nature.
Yep.
So depending on the game, you might have a game that is geared towards telling this specific kind of story. Whereas, if you're playing, your D&D or your Draw Steel or something
mm-hmm.
like that, then we're talking role play aspects or maybe parts of character backstories
mm-hmm.
that tie in romance. And
yep.
maybe they become a part of the story or they don't. The mechanics don't have anything to do with it.
Right. Well, and again, how personal is the play? I mean, that's part of it too. If you're, I've seen these things sort of, you just kind of go through it, quick explanation, sort of impersonal, and that's it. Or, is this intense role play? There's a big difference between those things, how that's handled narratively.
I think one direction that we could explore here would be, romance between PCs and NPCs.
Mm-hmm.
And then, romance between PCs.
Yeah.
That's going to feel a little different.
Right.
Right. So,
yeah.
NPC love interests.
Mm-hmm. I think it's great. As long as everybody's comfortable with that. It's kind of weird that every adventurer is single and, other than, the bard doesn't have a lot of interest in romance, so.
Right. It's not really the impetus of the story that's being told, I guess. So
yeah.
we don't really take a lot of time to acknowledge it sometimes.
Yeah. I think the thing is, for most people, when you're playing a tabletop game, you expect conflict. And so that's sort of natural. And so even if it's very intense role play, and you're looking the DM in the eyes and you're saying, this is it. You've killed my father and you're going to pay.
Right. Talking to the big bad.
Yeah. You stole my father's sword. You can look at all, you could do that and everybody understands what's happening, right? It's not like we're going to be mad at each other right at the end of the session, and
right.
they'll fire back and,
right.
or there's conflict. No, we're going to kill these guys. No, we need to spare them.
So conflict, whenever it's all revolving around combat, we know it, we're comfortable with it, but
right.
What if it's conflict stemming from romance?
Right. It's very different, I think, when you're looking at your DM who's role-playing your love interest, and you're like, your eyes are like the blue sky above, endless, and whatever.
As he's munching on Cheetos.
Yeah, as I'm drinking Mountain Dew and shoving pizza down my throat, right? So, that's different. And it's not necessarily bad, but I think this is one of those spots where everybody needs to be on the same page before we even go there and be like, look, are we cool with this? Is everybody cool with what's happening? And so from that, perspective, though, I think you could have some incredible role play.
Yeah, I think conflicts stemming from romance or love interest, those are awesome tools at the GM's disposal. You know, a loved one is in danger. That's a conflict that is going to hopefully drive a PC into action.
Yeah.
Or the conflicts can be sillier in nature as well. I made a bard a few years back that I ran in a campaign that you put together that I baked into his backstory. You know, I wanted to make this guy kind of pathetic.
Yeah.
And so I baked into his backstory that he's got an ex that he still has to live with because he's broke and she feels bad for him. But meanwhile, the, new hotshot adventurer in town is also living there. So he's got to bear witness to his ex's new relationship. He still has feelings for her. Now, none of this featured prominently in the session to session, gaming, but it was fuel for me for role playing this character.
Yeah. So, there were some interactions there.
Yeah. Minor role play interactions that were just enough.
Yeah. No, again, it could be a great motivator. And there's a difference between, a flirtatious character and full on lusty romance, right? I mean, those are two very different things.
Yeah.
But as far as NPCs go, I think as long as everybody understands what's going on and it's handled in a way that is acceptable for that table, right? Because, we don't want to, I don't want to be at a table where people are getting graphic with things, right?
Yeah, no, that's not my table style either. If it's yours, you do your thing. But, there is a thing called fade to black.
Yeah, and I'm for it.
Right. Things can happen off screen. Things can be insinuated without having to go into graphic detail.
Yeah, or, marriage, children, all of those are factors. But it does seem like, back in the day when we played more, I remember like everybody had a husband or wife. Like a lot of the characters did. And a lot of the characters had children. And those were the next generation of characters they were playing.
Right. So the timeline would advance.
Right.
And so it was kind of essential to build in these sorts of interests.
Yeah.
So that you could fuel future characters, future gaming. Yeah, it was all tied together. You're correct. Yeah.
That being said, rarely were those relationships players. That's a whole different can of worms.
Those were NPCs.
Yeah.
So let's shift then and kind of talk about PC to PC relationships. I've never experienced that at the table outside of a game of Fiasco,
right?
Where you're dealing out the cards and you're establishing relationships, and a session 0 for a D&D campaign, you could do that if you wanted to. You could intentionally set up relationships. I don't know. Have you seen player to player?
I have seen it years and years ago, but it was between players who were flirting with each other in real life.
Ah, okay.
And it translated to the game table and was
some bleed there.
Super awkward to be there for. Yeah. So this, same thing. Hey, if you've got two people who are great role players and are okay with this, this is no different than actors in a romantic scene, right? But like this is not for everybody, and certainly not everybody wants to sit through that. So I think that, again, a lot of it is how it's handled. If it's just sexual, this is awkward. Like, okay, y'all are going to do that, fine, we're going to fade to black fast, let's go. Yeah. And maybe some tables want to get into the details, the gory details. I don't know.
It leans forward.
Yeah. But I know I'm not interested in that. Things happen, I get it, and it could be an interesting part of play, but I don't want any of the details about what's happening there. At the same time, if it is more of a gradual, like coming together, like when camaraderie takes the next step.
Sure.
That could be really cool. Like to me, that is awesome.
Well, now we're talking depth of storytelling, right?
Right.
That you can really only achieve over extended play and making those narrative connections and two players kind of seeing things the same way. And, it would make sense that these characters feel a certain way.
Yeah.
For me, I just know that if there's going to be romance involved, if I've got a character who's in any sort of relationship, it's going to be one of two things. One, it's going to be like you said back in the day where, everybody had a family in game.
Right.
And that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be a huge source of conflict.
Mm-hmm.
If it's going to be featured, it needs to drive the story in some direction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. How cool would it be if maybe the warlock who's always in contention with the paladin, right? If something happens, the warlock's in distress, the paladin kicks in the door and saves him and is carrying him off, right? And the warlock stares at him just a little longer than normal, like you can handle this tastefully, and it would add a ton to the narrative. That would be so cool. Or you can handle it as heavy-handed as you want to. It just depends, but boy, this is something I would handle with kid gloves just because not everybody at the table might be comfortable with that.
Sure. It's not going to work at any random table.
Yeah. When you're playing with your coworkers,
don't let HR know.
Don't let HR know about what's happening at the table. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on romance at the game table? We'd love to get that feedback. thievescantcast@gmail.com. Or you can respond in the comments below. We would love it.
We'd love it.
Was
that pun intended?
It was.
Okay.
It was. All right. The Week of Love continues. We're back tomorrow with a special love edition of Would You Rather.
Oh, yeah.
You ready to play?
I don't know that I am this week.
We're getting into it tomorrow. So we'll see you then. I'm Jeremy Shane.
And I'm Fabio.
It's been Thieves Cant. So long.
Thank you for listening to Thieves Cant. Email thievescantcast@gmail.com.